Well, here we are with another episode of Unscripted with Owen and Tammy. Look, we have a lot of stories and a lot of things to tell.
I forgot how many stories we do have until we started recalling them.
And there's something fun about just being kind of like raw, like we're just sitting here like telling our stories. So we're really enjoying the new podcast, and I just want to remind people to subscribe to our channel and go ahead right now and hit that notification so you can be updated of everything going on.
Go ahead and ring our bell.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Do it right now. Don't delay.
Stay in touch. I got a question for you.
Yes.
We're starting off this week. Are you pregnant?
How dare you? That's very offensive when you really are done with having children.
I
know you're going to tell the story.
Can we be really real? I mean, this is podcast, so it's not TV.
It is.
Cheers. We went to see your grandmother, who just recently turned 97 years old.
Cheers to her.
It was her birthday, and it was wonderful to be with her.
Wasn't it?
All the family came together. And one of your great uncles.
I think he's getting a little dementia and stuff. But anyhow, go ahead.
Whatever you want to say. He's your family, not mine.
Tell your story. Go ahead.
but we walked in, and he said, "Oh, my God."
Wait. I wore a really baggy...
Like a loose dress.
Yes.
I liked you in it. I actually told you to wear it.
I know. I'll never wear it again, but go ahead. So we walk in.
Uncle John.
We were at the elderly
in St. Bernard
home.
As we say in St. Bernard, Uncle John.
Yeah, it's not Uncle John. It's Uncle John.
He said, "Oh, God, Tammy, you're not pregnant again, are you?" And you were like, "What? What are you talking about?"
What are you talking about?
He says, "Well, you look like you got
got maternity clothes on."
And I said, "Oh man, he's touching."
I mean, it's just something you don't
a brave
say
man.
to a woman if you don't know.
No, I was.
I'm so glad I have confidence.
Well, I mean, I was feeling for you, but
whatever.
It goes in line. It kind of goes in line with
today's program.
What we want to talk about.
Yep.
Because you have been with child 4 times.
Jeez.
And
cut me some grace, huh?
And each time there was, I think, significance in the timing of the pregnancy and where we are. Yeah. You go back to our first child, Alexandra. Our plan was no pregnancy for the first 5 years.
I know.
Because we wanted to travel, and we actually wanted to snow ski.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, we live in Louisiana, but we both we're diehard skiing fans.
Yes.
And when we first met, I said, "You got to learn how to ski." And we used to go and ski a lot. And so we did quite a few times before you came up with child. And when I came home, she was a prankster. Tammy's a big prankster. So I came home right after we were married, 3 years, I guess it was then. And you said to me, well, I got some good news. And so what news do you have? And you said,
I'm pregnant.
I'm pregnant. I said, what? I said, you got to be kidding. There's no way. You ruined our plans.
Right.
And she's like,
you said no traveling for you.
No traveling for you. And you're like, well, you had something to do with this. And I said, yeah, but you promised me that you would take care of business. So
that was Allie.
That was Allie.
And that was 1995. I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
Then when Brooke came along, it was 8 years later. I was 28.
28.
When I had Brooke. And then 9 years after
later.
that. Now I'm 37 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And here comes our third child, Liam. And we really wanted a boy. So we really, really asked God for that pregnancy and for that boy. And that story. Well, then we were completely done. We were you know what? Praise God. We got the 2 girls and the boy. We even said to ourselves, our family is complete. Now we can, raise our family.
Yeah, and God gave us a boy. And we were excited about that because Allie, we were glad God gave us a child. When we really embraced her, she was our first. And then Brooke came along. We thought Brooke might be a boy. And we thought
that would have been done.
That would have been it.
Right. Thanks, Brooke.
And then years go by, and we were kind of somewhat, well, I guess we're finished. We're done.
Yeah.
And then I went on a trip to Europe, and in Romania, and thought, I'd like to adopt a boy. It didn't happen, and God was speaking to you and speaking to me through that. So we prayed, and you came up pregnant, and we said, okay, this is it. Thank God. Those 2 girls and the boy, our family's complete.
Yeah.
What happened after that, though, Tammy?
Well, Liam was only, I think, like a year old. So we still had a baby in diapers.
Yeah.
And then I was working out. We were working out big time. And I mean, I was like determined, I'm going to like get all this baby weight
get back
off.
in shape and all.
I'm going to get back in shape. And I mean, we were like hitting it. We had trainers. We were hitting it really hard.
Yeah.
And everything was going well, except my belly. I never could lose the weight in the belly.
You got to back up a little bit. When you had Liam, you had some fibroid
correct
tumors that were benign.
Right.
They weren't cancerous.
Right.
But you had an option
Right.
to either remove them then, and you were like, you know what, I'm just going to trust the Lord. I don't want to go through any more surgery, whatever.
So I said, dear Lord,
Maybe
these tumors are obviously growing, and I think I need to go to the doctor and deal with it because, it's just not good.
And we're like, yeah, go ahead and do that. Take care.
So I went to the doctor, and they scheduled an ultrasound.
Meanwhile, you were working out hard. I mean, you were like...
Oh, well, we were playing volleyball competitively because I played volleyball back in my high school
and we were the oldest people on the court. Everybody else was in their 20s and 30s.
So we were literally playing volleyball. I was literally diving on the floor every day, like diving for the ball, jumping, spiking, all that stuff. And when I went to the doctor, they scheduled an ultrasound, and they were going to measure the size of the tumors and see what's going on and what course of action. Well, the lady kept looking and looking and looking. And then she said, Miss McManus, did you have a hysterectomy? Did you have your uterus removed? And I'm like, no. And she kept looking, and then she stops again. She says, Miss McManus, are you sure you didn't have your uterus removed? I said, ma'am, not to be rude, but if I'd had my uterus removed, surely I would remember it, right? And so she says, well, you know what? Let me switch the mode here. And she switched something, and then she says, oh, my God. And when I looked at the screen, I have been pregnant 3 times before this, right? So I know what an ultrasound looks like. When I look at the screen, the picture of the womb is not, when you first find out you're pregnant, it's like a little pebble. You see this big black open space and a little peanut, little bitty, and you're like, there's the cute baby. And I mean, it's just a dot.
And people are like, oh, it looks just like your grandfather.
My cute baby.
It's a peanut.
Occupied the entire womb and had arms, legs, head. It's moving.
It's crazy.
And I'm like, oh my word, that is a baby. And so the lady, I mean, she was as shocked as I am. I'm like, what in the world?
Not as shocked as I was.
Exactly. So
I
then
was shocked.
She says, let me measure. And then she says, Mrs. McManus, you are 5 months pregnant.
My gosh.
How I was 5 months pregnant and I didn't know.
And you didn't know because you never did get sick.
No, I was never sick for one child.
All the other babies, you never were a sickly.
I was never sick one time.
That was wonderful.
That was a blessing.
Most women would.
That's why I had 4 children.
Thank God for that. But this one was different, and here we are, still have a baby in diapers.
And we had the whole church praying and fasting that I didn't have cancer.
You didn't have cancer, right?
Or something seriously wrong. So.
And then we find out it's a baby.
It wasn't cancer. It was a 5-month-old baby.
5-month-old baby. Yeah. Another girl.
Another girl.
God gave us another girl. Yeah. We didn't even recognize it. And
how unscripted was that?
That's unscripted. I
remember I came
Allie
home.
was unscripted, but Olivia was definitely unscripted.
The lady types on the picture that she's printing out now of this pregnancy, and it says on the picture, surprise daddy. So she prints it out, and I bring it home to you. And I'm like, Owen? He said, how did the doctor appointment go? I said, Owen, and I just put it in your hand.
And I looked at it and I thought, okay.
You said, you are joking with me.
So you're joking because, again, you were joking, I thought, before about Allie, and here we are years later, and you're like, here, no, read the date. Look at the date.
Look at the date.
And I looked at the date, and it was July 10th, 2013.
The day after your birthday.
Yeah, the day after my birthday, July
Happy
10,
birthday.
2013. And I said, "What is this? No, you got to be kidding me. No."
Yeah, Olivia was born December 5th,
December 5th,
2013, and I
yeah.
found out on July 10th.
Actually, she was born
It was the
day
fastest
before
pregnancy.
the girl from Frozen was born. She told us that last night. Eliza, what's her name? Whatever one.
Yeah.
Her birth date is December 6th,
Oh,
13, and Olivia's 2013, but December 5th. She told me that. So all that in consideration.
but what would you relate that, because that was such a shock to us. Obviously, the Lord knew more than we did, and he has plans more than we even could conceive our thoughts. How do you relate what was going on there in the natural with us and what was going on in the spirit?
Pretty much every time, and I believe this could be true for everyone when you're walking with God. I know we serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, it's very important, the trifecta there, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because when you look at their lives, Abraham being the father of the faith, Abraham was called out of his family to a new land. And Abraham left in one condition but ended in another.
Yeah.
The same pattern that Abraham walked, even Abraham tried to pass his wife off as his sister. Isaac does the same thing. You look through the scripture and you can see these patterns.
Yeah.
Patterns that God uses patterns for man to grope after, to know him. And now, so for my life, again, you can look at my mom and dad's life. I've not done anything but just try to obey the Lord. I pray sometimes. I look back in my history. I wish I could have been even more obedient in times. But despite grace, is where grace comes in. Despite our insufficiencies, our inadequacies, God does create purpose in our lives. And that's the great thing about the Lord. He does it despite us. So I'm saying all that to say this. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Abraham dug wells. Isaac comes behind him and just undigs the wells and finds prosperity. And my life has kind of been the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, let's go back to us specifically. My dad had 4 kids, 2 girls, me, a boy, in order, same order, and then a daughter, the last girl. All
It
right.
was a surprise.
Which is another surprise. My mom almost went into depression because she had bad pregnancies, not
Right.
like you. You had,
Good, yeah.
they were all good to me, but
Yeah, of course.
but you had.
The guys always have the easy route.
It was the easy way, but
Yeah.
But okay, so there's the pattern.
Yeah.
Now for us, every time a child came into our lives, God shifted us into another chapter.
That's true.
We were going through the most difficult time of our life, and Allie was born probably at the worst time. We were living in the church.
Yep.
We didn't have much. And people today can talk about everything that we have done, whatever. I have no problem with that. But
See,
I know,
Allie, you were born at the worst time ever. Isn't that great? She's over on the set.
we barely even had any money. We were living in the church.
I know. I remember they wanted to do surgery on me after.
And we were praying, don't do it because
And
we didn't
I
have
said,
the money.
Just pray. I said, because we can't afford it.
No, she wasn't worried about being well.
No, I was like, we
We
just
don't have
can't
the money.
afford it.
I mean, really.
We don't need a medical bill.
I drove you to the hospital in the church van, a
Wait.
16 passenger.
Yeah, the maxi van.
A Deborah McManus Holland van.
Those typical with the bench seats. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in a storming rain.
Yeah.
I mean, it was storming that day. It was in March, so it
Yeah.
was like, the showers of spring. Every time we've gone through that, God gives us a child, and then He brings us into a new vision.
That's true.
And we went from that, we went into our first home. The church was paid off the year later.
Yeah.
We had been in bankruptcy. The church had been in bankruptcy for almost 10 years in a fight. In 1996, we were able to acquire a loan.
Yeah.
And right after that, we paid it off.
Yeah.
All right. Then Brooke comes along in 2003. It was right after that we became really in control of everything that God had given to us. And that was another move. And then Katrina hit.
Yeah.
And we went from Chef Mentor Highway to I-10. That's an upgrade.
Yeah.
Where we came from to where we are. Then we look at when Liam came along in 2012. It was one of the greatest youth revivals that had taken place in this city ever.
Yes.
Literally, this revival touched.
Absolutely.
Still today, our leadership is
all
because
from
of that time.
Yeah.
And then Olivia came a little bit later on. And I've always wondered, my God, what's the vision about Olivia? And I mean, I talked to our youth our children's pastor this past week, and he told me that last Sunday we had 27 little 1-year-olds.
Just 1-year-olds.
Just 1-year-olds in church.
Yes.
That's a church.
They need to now extend to another 1-year-old classroom.
That's just 1-year-olds.
Yeah.
So every time for us, babies have signified a shift and a of the vision, and it's coming to focus. And that's why, not that we, so is our vision over now? Because we've made sure you can't have it anymore. But we're riding. For us, for me, it has resulted in changes of the season.
Allie's 27. Our youngest, Olivia, is 8. So now our children, our youngest is 8. I know that's young. But now Allie and Kenneth have a 2-year-old, Noah. So our grandchild, Noah, is 2 years old. And it's almost like that season of our life in the natural where we have a grandchild and you can just enjoy them so much. You can spoil them. You can feed them candy. You can hype them out. And then you can give them to their parents and say, good night, bye-bye. That season of enjoyment, it really is a different season when you come to that. It's almost the same season in the ministry. It's like a season that we're enjoying seeing our sons and daughters in the Lord, doing the work of the Lord, doing what God has called them to do. It's a different season, and it's really pleasurable.
Well, we were more
it's a reward.
When your own kids, you're more hands-on.
Yeah.
You do the discipline.
Absolutely.
The vision. Liam's taking piano. Olivia's taking piano as well, and we're trying to figure out what God wants them to do. But you said now, with the coming of of Noah, our first grandson, to me it speaks that our life is changing now.
Yeah,
we're more of coaching and encouraging the sons and daughters in the Lord to go forward.
It is,
and to do the work of the ministry.
Yeah.
And it's changing, So the point is that here's what it is, Tammy. I remember about 5 years ago, I was walking through the back of our property, and now Pastor Pamela Porter, she met me and in the back, and she was crying. She was a teacher, and she was like beside herself. And she looked at me. She said, "I'm done. I'm over. I don't have a purpose. Everybody around here is so young. I've given God my best. What do I do now?" And I looked at her and said, "Are you kidding me?"
Right.
Wait.
I remember that.
Listen to me. You are not done. Your most influential days are about to begin.
Right.
You need to reinvent yourself.
That's right.
You need to get a new vision and stop thinking about what has been and that you are a goner.
Right.
You're never a goner when it comes to the Lord. When you have vision, your better days are always
Yes.
right around the corner.
Yes.
And I said, your issue is you need to get a vision of your future.
Yeah.
And you need to clue in. Mm-hmm. Now look at her today. She's vivacious.
Oh my goodness, leading so many people.
I think she's doing more now
Absolutely.
than she ever did.
And more effective.
But when I ran into her that day,
Yeah.
it startled me. And I realized that our responsibility is to enable people to see who God wants them to be in the now.
But I wonder how many people are watching and listening to us right now that are in that same place as Pastor Pamela is.
Mm-hmm. No, there's no doubt.
In their minds, they're thinking they're over, they're done, they've seen the best days.
And you don't have to be 50 years old to feel that way.
On the latter part. No, age has nothing to do with it.
You don't have to be in your 50s or 60s and think that you're over. You could be in your 30s or 40s and you just have lived a little bit long and you think, oh, I'll never be able to recapture. No, you won't recapture where you've been.
No.
That's gone.
Right.
Today is the day that the Lord has made.
What would you say to someone that feels like that?
Well, I said to her, reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, you could be very practical about this, or you could be spiritual.
Right.
Practical, it's like, you know what? Get some new threads.
Go ahead.
Get some new clothes. Get a new hairstyle.
Right.
Come up to date.
Right.
You know, get you a different car. Get rid of that. You know, nothing. Get rid of that van. Get you. You know, have a midlife crisis.
Model.
Get you something. Now, for the van, for us, was very practical for all those years.
Yes.
And it was what we needed. My point was to her was that you've got to see yourself.
Yeah.
As important in what you're to do. So I would say, like I said to Pastor Pamela, and at the time, she was an elder in the church, but she wasn't a pastor. Today, she's got so many titles.
Yeah.
She can't wear them all at one time. But she reached down and began to think of herself differently.
That's the key. That's the key. You have to think differently about yourself.
And you have to embrace the journey.
Yeah.
You have to embrace it. Like every time that you were pregnant, mm-hmm. we embraced what God gave to us in those babies.
Yeah.
And we knew that life was changing. Now we could see it like, or life changes because the practical, we're not gonna be able to do as much as we used to do, mm-hmm. whatever, because of responsibilities. But there's a prophetic significance in all of these markers in life. And if you can clue in, right, and you can clue in and see what God is saying to you through all of these things. Now, there are other ways that God speaks to us, but God speaks to us because, you know, here's the beautiful thing, the incarnation of Christ.
Yeah.
Christ, the spiritual God that we serve, invaded our life, humanity, mm-hmm. flesh, and he became one of us.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? That means that's a big theological term for God speaks to us supernaturally through the natural.
Yeah.
He speaks to us through every little thing that's going on in our lives. And I'm not saying that having kids are little, they're big, they're big blessings, but they're markers, they're opportunities to see God shifting things in our lives. And that's what I've learned.
Yes.
So if you're a person that's lacking the vision today, mm-hmm. I would say don't think of life as my best days are behind me.
That's right.
Your best days are here. Your best days are ahead.
Yes.
Because you're walking with God.
That's right.
You're walking with the Lord.
That's right.
So what would you say, Tammy? I mean, I know what would you say to someone who's...
I so agree with you, and we've experienced people going through different seasons of their life. I preached a sermon many years ago about the Great Exchange, and I talked about how in a track, when you run a track, there's only a certain zone that you can hand that baton off in. If you're a step ahead of it or a step behind it,
right,
you are penalized.
Right. And
so I
nobody
think
wins.
In life, we have to know when is that season of exchanging the baton.
Yeah.
And if we time that right, if we really get in tune with what season we're in, and we really embrace the season that we're in, and like you said, reinvent ourselves in that season, it really is a great time of victory. It's not a time of defeat just because you move to another season. You know, when you're single and you get married, you move to another season. When you're married and then you have children, it's another season. When your
Right.
children move on and move out the house and they call it empty nest, that's another season. There's just different seasons in
Yeah.
our lives. And in my opinion, every season is one to embrace and
Yeah.
find pleasure in. There's really a great time. So if we see everything is frustrated, I'm not going to do anything in life and find it miserable and frustrating. So yeah, when it's changing diaper season and you know, that can be messy and kids
Right.
wake you up
Real
all night
messy.
long. You got to find how to embrace and enjoy that season. And then every season of life.
Yeah.
I like the season I'm in now. I like grandparenting. I like being in a church. I like now a lot of our time is spent mostly with leaders and pastors.
Right.
That's just where we are now. It used to be different. And so I just believe in embracing and identifying and knowing what season I'm in and getting a hold of what God has for me in that season.
Yeah, I think that's the difficult thing for many of us is to embrace the now.
You can't live yesterday today.
And as you get older, you start thinking of yourself as being useless.
Yeah.
That's common.
Exactly.
That's normal.
Right.
Everyone, we talk with our friends that are 80 and some that are 90 and some that are in their 70s, and they tell us all the time, you know, what do I do now? Here's the problem. They didn't think ahead.
Right.
See, they weren't thinking in the future.
Right.
They were just constantly living for where they were.
Yeah.
I think the important thing for those who have successfully been able to maneuver from one place in time to another are those who were thinking ahead and enjoying each time where they were.
That's right.
And I think that's my prayer is that, you know, I'll know when to stop pastoring every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thankful, for all the different times, the different seasons and
Yes.
different groups of people that we have pastored.
Yeah.
Post Katrina was a different crowd. Post COVID-19 is a different group. And yet, when will it come where we're not doing the day-to-day
Yeah.
thing? Well, I think I'm looking ahead. When is that time so that I can enjoy what I'm supposed to do at that time until the Lord takes me home?
Yeah.
And I think that you got to keep looking forward.
Yes.
So for us,
Yes.
the children have been markers of a change in our season. And if you can connect that to the vision of your life, I think the transitions, it's not always easy. It's not all, look, we're putting a good spin on it, and it is. It's not always easy. Change is never easy.
Yes.
Change is never easy, but you got to do it or you'll stay stagnant. You'll become a relic. You'll become something, and God's always moving.
You got to
Always
wake up every day with a purpose and a destiny.
What's the next
every
thing?
day of your life. You got to get up and say, what has God got for me to do today? What is my purpose? What's my destiny? And that's that drive that gives you this passion and this energy and this joy. If I'm just home useless every day, I'm going to wither away. So I like waking up knowing I have a plan, a purpose, a destiny every day of my life.
You were never a stay-at-home mom.
Not at all.
No,
I had the babies and was back at the church office within a week.
You had the babies in a little carriage right next to you.
I'd feed
And
them
that's
here,
fine.
and yes.
You know, some women are different. Some girl people are at different places.
Right. Different.
But you were not
What
that
they
kind
say,
of lady.
different strokes for different folks.
It's okay. I don't think there's one model.
Right.
Especially in today's world, so different.
Right.
Single moms who raising babies. So it's not a cookie cutter.
No.
For
at all.
program for
You
everyone.
do what works for you.
But you did that and able to make it through. Tell us before we sign off. how we can stay in touch with this podcast.
Well, you can subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
That's important because you will automatically know and hit the notifications, and you will be notified when there's a new episode, new things. You'll be up to date. You gotta ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
So go ahead and do that now. Share this program with someone else, because there are people that just need to hear what God is saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed reminiscing about the 4 pregnancies that you've brought into our lives.
Lord, and thank God for the record. We are done having children. Now that is scripted.
Yeah.
Forget unscripted.
Yeah,
Look, when they came in, yes, we helped God out. So, Uncle John, you are wrong. You just love that. You keep talking about that. He is so wrong, and I'm going to get him for that.
You got to get him. Revenge, right?
Then later he kept arguing with me that I'm not in my 40s, that he believes I'm in my 50s. And I'm thinking, now what is it? Am I pregnant or am I in my 50s?
I think you still look good.
Thank you, honey.
I think you still look great.
Thank you.
So,
I appreciate that.
Well, thank y'all for joining us. Y'all have a great day.